thank you so much for joining us once again. Sitting in for Sarfina Cheng, my name is Lillian Willian. It's such a pleasure to be here this morning. Today we're diving into the very fascinating question of what really makes people get into relationships. You know, relationships are wide. It could be a relationship between a man and a woman. It could be an extramarital relationship. Are you a side chick? Are you dating a married woman? Are you dating a married man? Relationships are diverse. So we're talking about what really makes people get into relationships. And to help us unpack this, we have our resident panelists in studio this morning. As always, on this end, we have CJ Atemo. He's a life coach. We're also joined by Roberta Bobby. She's a relationship coach. And we're also joined by Ken Munywa, who is a psychologist. Welcome and good morning.
Morning to you.
Morning.
Yeah. So to start with, I'd like to hear from each of you, starting with the lady, of course. What do you think is the core reason people decide to be in relationships? And I know I gave a list of the different types, but when people get into relationships, what's the driving force? What are they thinking? What's the need and the desire? What is behind them wanting to be in a relationship?
Niseme zile points poa za GHC ama niseme zile za ukweli. Wacha niseme right now, I actually asked a few people this question yesterday, and something that kept coming up was financial stability. A lot of people are getting into relationships, and I love talking about money. So a lot of people are getting into relationships because mbona tulipe rent mbili, let's cost share, let's save. But there's also many other reasons, especially number one, I'd like to think companionship. You know, it's nice to have someone who cares about you, who thinks about you, who loves you. There's also reasons like, if we're talking about romantic relationships especially, procreation, togetherness, family, unity, just mostly companionship. Like in your point, your pesa, I've seen it coming strong in 2025. I'd like to hear what...
And the assumption usually is that if it's money, then it's the female that's probably leeching off this person for their money. But it could be either way.
Hey, this Jamaz. Yeah. Hey, this Jamaz. Right now they're on a mission. They have come to finish our money. So it's everyone, it's all of us wanting, you know, you're thinking, kama hiyo reason ya mbona tulipe rent mbili. Ukichunguza sana, if you're keen, you'll see a lot of men are also moving into women's houses or they're leeching off. There's this meme that goes around where a lady's at the ATM checking her money and then the man is behind hugging her really, really tightly. That is how relationships are looking at like right now. So it's not really a gendered thing. I think most of us or everyone is requiring some sort of financial stability. And if you're in love or in a romantic relationship with someone, it kind of just makes sense to cut costs and cost share. So money is such a big contender in the reasons of why people, I mean, we might not say it out loud that, hey, CJ, I want your money, I want you to pay my bills. Tunakatiana kwanza na kuingiza box, alafu boom. Now I'm not paying rent for the rest of my life.
Yeah, Ken?
You know, when I listen to Bobby, it actually makes a lot of sense, the reason. But for me, I believe it is for this reason that a man shall leave his father and mother and be united with a woman. And what is the reason? The reason is love. The sense of growing up. Most relationships start from a mature level. Unlike the ones that are starting for the wrong reasons, there are some people who get into relationships because the time is right. Because it is time to get married. It is time to start relating with other people as opposed to your family members. And so because you have matured up, you are of age, and age at this particular point is very important. I've always said for any relationship that you have gotten into before you reach 23 for a man and 21 for a lady, that was a trial and error. It should never scare you that you've been dumped. At 21, you are not dumped. At 23, for a man, you are not dumped. You just had the wrong person coming into your life. Now you are more experienced, and you can go for it. Unfortunately, in this Kanairo, there is the aspect of finances. A poverty eradication program where some people Some people don't want to go out there and fend for themselves. Yeah. And so they think the only way for me to get there is to get somebody with money. I did think, Lillian, you'd actually talk about the side chick issue of a relationship, but looking at it from that perspective is there's some people who don't also want commitment. They just want somebody to meet their desires and wants. The needs part, they will take care of them. And they just want to be related to one person. You know, the Bible says, I don't like quoting the Bible when CJ is there. He knows the Bible more, that a time will come when 7 women will want to be identified with one man. It is actually also true that we have more females than males in this town and in this country, and more priests than nuns. So, unfortunately, sitataka kutaja mambo ya priest na watu, but that's true. There are some people who just want to be aligned with somebody just to have a name or to be attached or somebody to take care of you. Yeah. You just want to sleep. Nobody loves Mondays. Fortunately for me, Monday is my favorite day of the week. I saw no many people who love Monday. So as long as you can sleep and somebody will take care of you, then get into a situationship. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Some things we call relationships are not actually relationships. We are just in a situationship.
CJ?
Well, I think people get into relationships to belong. That is coming out clearly, whether we call it companionship or love. The interesting thing, Ken, is that marriage for love is a very recent phenomenon. If you check it out, it's not even more than 300 years or 200 years. Sure. It's something that came in later. Initially, it was more around functionality. And that's why I think that people who get into arranged situations sometimes last longer, because they're very clear about the roles and expectations they have of each other. Bobby says, you know, it's you get in fast into the relationship before you tell somebody you want their money. It's interesting that when it comes to other benefits, people don't wait that long before they start asking. Yeah. I don't know why money is always a hot topic that, you know, somebody wants you for a sleepover, they'll say the first night. But when it comes to money, then people become very diplomatic. I think because we make people look very bad when they actually have the need for money. It is a valid need because there's a sense of belonging. Then there is a sense of people get into relationships to become. They want to become something else. That's why you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that is not going to add value to you. They're either supposed to be enhancing you, romancing you, financing you, or something, you know.
Adding value, that's interesting, adding value. And it's often something that is used in the reverse in terms of what value do you add? What value? And, you know, this is something that couples say to each other back and forth when, you know, things go wrong. What value do you really add? So the terms of engagement and how you start off in this relationship, Roberta, how important is that? Because like you said, some people are in it for the money. You know, Ken says some people are in it to belong or, you know, just not to be by yourself. And CJ says to belong, yes. But in terms of the terms of engagement and the value add, how important is it to set, I mean, of course, it's not something, you know, you're either in it for the physical intimacy or you're in it for the money or for the companionship. But how important is it or realistic is it to set the tone of what it is that you're bringing out of each other? Is it business? Is it love? Is it companionship? Is it sex?
And this is why I'm a big preacher of self-improvement and self-love, because even before you can communicate your needs to your partner, you have to feel them intrinsically. You have to know, this is who I am, this is what I want. No ikifika, there's a media personality who's been trending this week about the things she wanted for herself in marriage, and everyone is bashing her, but she communicated her needs early, and she said, this is what I want, this is what I will not do. And unfortunately, in relationships, especially romantic, we love to think, I can change him, I can fix him, it can get better. So to answer your question, I think easy values na boundaries na standards zenye uko nazo zinafaa zikuwe set way before you meet this partner that you're looking for. So it is super important. Yeah. A lot of us did not grow up in environments where communication was made easy or available. So we have fears around even discussing. I like that CJ said, kutaka pesa si shida. Like, bora ujue, nataka pesa na ni sawa. I'm always saying hapa mi nataka pesa. Watu ni judge, but afadhali mi najijua kuliko someone who get into a relationship if you don't have anything you can stand on, it's easy for your needs to get swayed. Someone can easily make you change your mind about, you say you don't want kids, this person wants kids. Now they start trying to convince you, let's have one kid. But if you know deep down you do not want kids, this is for you more than it is for the other person. Remember, times change, feelings change. So what happens when you get the kid and then this person has fallen out of love with you? Now you're stuck with something you didn't want, a decision you did not make for self. So it is super important. We also need to really teach ourselves how to communicate clearly. I mean, once you get into the relationship, si ati needs zako zitatoka zote day one, but as you keep going, I think it's important that you're vocal about the things that you can stand for and can't. Communicate. We do all this in friendship. I'm always saying we do it in business. If you're planning a business with someone, with a business partner, and tomorrow you need to restock, you will communicate. You'll say, Lilian, by the way, lazima niongeze tissues, na wet wipes or whatever. How come in a relationship you're not able to say, hey, I need commitment. I need your money. I need your affection and attention and love. Why is it so difficult that when we're in a space where we're supposed to be the most comfortable, it's difficult to communicate? So I'd say communication is so important, but not just telling your partner what you need, telling yourself, because you have to believe it.
Communication, and that's huge. In terms of the terms of engagement, there's an article in the Standard today about the deal breakers and how people find themselves, not getting along even when it started off well. So when you talk about communication, gentlemen, for you, define this in the sense that, so we've talked about the terms of engagement, how we're getting in, what we are getting out of each other, what the value add is for both of us, but the importance of communication in that, then you're getting to this relationship knowing that we have a certain way we do our things. We have a ritual. I don't like to call it a ritual, but I know what to expect of my partner. If you don't do it, and we had already communicated, then that, of course, is a red flag or, somehow an indicator that we're not going in the right direction. So I want us to talk about communication and relationships and just starting off the relationship on the right path. Just tying into what Bobby here was talking about in terms of communication. I'll start with you, CJ, and then we can cross over to...
I like to think about relationships, and including marriage, as a business partnership. You think about it that way, it simplifies a lot of things. It needs to have a structure, there needs to be a plan, you need to have goals that are very clear. Otherwise, when you go for what people will call, the date nights and stuff, you may get into talking about things that are not building you. You're going nowhere. You can't really assess whether your relationship is growing or not because you're just around each other. So you can't assess whether the other person is playing their role, whether you're both playing your roles. You can't tell when the relationship is not healthy. But when you have a sense of a structure, it doesn't have to be written down, but the conversations that you have had, the clarity around what you want to achieve from the very beginning, it becomes a bit easier. When I was talking about the values, I talk about 4 things, Lillian. So you need somebody who will advance you, or finance you, enhance you, or romance you. When it comes to those, so if I'm very clear about I want to be in a relationship where somebody is going to pull out the best in me, I'm very clear about that. When I feel you are not doing that, and it doesn't have to be the financial, when I feel you're not doing that, you're not challenging me to grow, you're not making me become a better person, I begin to raise those questions like, I needed somebody who would bring out the best out of me.
Are you doing this inwardly, or are you actually communicating this to this person?
So you need to communicate it.
Okay.
It needs to be very clear from the beginning. I think unspoken expectations become the bedrock of a lot of disappointment that we have. And then we become resentful and bitter with somebody who has no idea over what they either did or did not do. And you cannot bring these expectations 10 years down the line and say you didn't do this when you never communicated it in the very beginning. You have to be very clear about the goal so that the person will know whether they're meeting the goal or not. So I think that right from the onset, what Bobby's talking about, knowing yourself and where you want to go and what really matters for you, you need to lay it out. There are people who get into a romantic relationship like a marriage and they say, I want to be having dinner with my family. It may be as simple as that. So if you come in and then you're not available for dinner, you're already breaking what I expected. Because maybe I came up from a family that never had dinner together, and it's something that I'm longing for. And so when you're not available, you're taking me back into something I do not want to go into.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm coming into a situation where I want a relationship where maybe the man should take care of me, because I may be having the traumas of my father never took care of us. So when you come in, then you're not taking care of us. This is not a complaint. This is a valid assessment, because I told you from the beginning, this is what I would wish.
Right.
So it is important to lay out this from the very beginning. The challenge today, Lillian, is people go for the chemistry and allow the chemistry to lead them to the end before talking about most of the things. So by the time they want to talk about these things, there's a baby who was unplanned.
Yeah.
They're already living together because they were so attracted and they didn't have the discipline enough to sit down and construct these things, because they didn't want to lose each other.
Yeah.
So we need to sober up a little bit when it is getting to the place of commitment. Sober up a little bit, no matter how much you feel about this person. Slow down a bit, bring a pepper to the table, even if it is figuratively. Lay out your expectations and your goals, and then craft something that the two of you can work with.
And perhaps, can the breakdown in this communication, or people not getting it right from the word go, is what is making people seek affection elsewhere? Where if your partner, and I could be wrong, is not meeting you halfway or not meeting their end of the bargain, then you seek the affection of someone elsewhere, because obviously something is not working here. Or is the whole mistress, side guy, I don't know, I have a man, but I have another man, and Nairobi's one big bedroom story. Is that an actuality? Is it something that we've picked up because of modern times? Or is there something that's fundamentally wrong in relationships as regards communication, and what Bobby and CJ are talking about?
The problem we are having today is having so many married people who have an MBA, but it's not a scholar. It's married but available for others. Yeah? And you have an MBA for another person except the one that you're intimate with. You know, it takes a lot of hard work for any relationship to work, whether with a side chick or with a main chick. And all come at a cost. I like saying that a wife is a postpaid, and a side chick is a prepaid. You pay in advance, but the wife you had already paid. Yeah? At any particular time, communication should be, we are not just trying to communicate to each other. It should be we are communicating with each other, that I can express myself, I can be vulnerable to you, and you can equally be able to communicate to me. There's a husband and a wife who are not communicating, and the husband had an early flight. Yeah. And because he did not want to be the first one to reach out to the wife, he wrote a note and left it to the pillow of the wife and said, please wake me up at 5. I have an early flight. And then he woke up at 8, and he was very furious because he was supposed to wake up at 5. And he started telling the wife, I told you to wake me at 5. You did not wake me up. Now, see, I'm in a mess. The wife said, but I woke you up at 5. Said, where? Asked, how did you tell me to wake you up? I wrote a note. She said, check on your pillow. I've also written a note. Yeah. To both of them, they have communicated, but was that communication effective? For us to be able to communicate, number one, we have to be as mature as possible, tuweke utoto kando. Yeah. Have you ever noticed how people who don't like each other shout at each other because the hearts are so apart? You might be so close, but the hearts are apart. For you to be able to communicate to Bobby, you have to shout, because even the heart, you're thinking the heart is too far. But for the people who are mature and love each other, they can even whisper in the presence of a noisy place, but they will still hear each other. Right. It's when you open your heart to each other and agree in principle that we are going to resolve our problems without involving other people at first. I would want to say that for the 13 years that I have been with Shiro, it has not always been rosy, but at least we have been mature enough to tell each other, here I will own up. Of course, there are some instances where you want her to be the one to own up. Men need also to learn the art of you must apologize even when you have been wronged. It makes our life easier. CJ and I know this because women are always right. even when you go to a new place and you don't know where the washrooms are, just know women are always right. So the moment you know that, then you can start from where she's right and bring her to what is right. From her stand, she's right, but what is right? So it takes a lot of maturity. And let me tell you, there is nothing as hard as communicating with somebody with childish manners. You know, the ones who are ready to run to their mothers or to their fathers. I have no problem with daddy's girls and mommy's boys. I have no problem with them as long as they don't always run to their mothers and their fathers.
What about friends? What about those who seek the comfort or the solace or the advice of friends, or just rat out their partner to friends? You know, your pal has done this. I can't believe your pal has done this. Or like Bobby saying, yes, social media.
Social media. You are seeking attention. You know, we have so many people out here now who have ADD, attention deficiency disorders. They just want to be complimented. Why are they running there? Because that is their safest of the places. And partners need to know, for your relationship to thrive, you must create a safe space for your partner, that they feel safe, irrespective of what differences you have, but at least they are safe with you, that they can calm themselves down. The moment you allow a third party to come into your relationship, you've started getting it wrong, because some of these parties are the reasons why we are separated. Some of these parties are not happy when you're happy.
Yeah.
Some people will actually thrive when you're in a mess, and they will be the first ones to give you a shoulder to lean on. And when you're facing this side, they are like, yes, finally, I have won. So you better be cautious who is the third person you're introducing in your relationship.
And talking about attachment styles now, Bobby, you had talked about this last week, and I'll talk about people getting into relationships because they're lonely. There's a big chunk of today's population, women getting into their 30s, late 30s. Back in the day, parents felt that as a girl, by 25, 26, 27, you should have a clear idea who's marrying you. You know, by 30, you should at least have a child. But things have changed. People are chasing their careers and their dreams and goals. And you're finding that women and men are getting married later, or even settling down with partners later. For those that perhaps are doing this because of the loneliness or the pressure that we talked about, you know, societal pressure, let's talk about attachment styles. If you've gotten into this relationship because of the pressure or because you're lonely, we talked about attachment styles, and I want us to get into that, because when you get into a relationship, again, we're going back to why you got into it in the first place, but now how you attach to this person and the longevity of this relationship based on your level of attachment. Yeah.
Before I answer that, I have a question for CJ. You can answer me after. CJ, I want to know how you talked about slowing down on the chemistry. Unajua feelings imechacha na sasa you guys just move with the chemistry. How do you do that? How do you slow down when you guys are so much into each other? I feel like it's hard and it's crazy. I don't know.
It isn't. It's just like when you're making financial decisions. If somebody threw at you a contract and says, sign this, Bobby, if you've not read the terms and conditions of your contract, you will not sign it. We sober up when it comes to everything else apart from when it comes to love. So we actually can do it, because you'll want to know, what does this mean for me? I don't know whether you saw something that President Trump made a certain other president to sign him. And while he was talking and saying, well, they've agreed to this deal, the guy held his head because he had not read the details about it. And this is how so many of us are getting into relationships, because we are so hell-bent on impressing and keeping the other person that when they start talking about what we signed up for, we're like, that's not what I signed up for, but you actually did. That's what's important to...
The way I interpreted, so how I interpret that is that, for instance, I should not be so available. So I'm like, my hormones are raging probably. I really want to be with my man 24/7, but I should have a life away from you.
Yes.
I should literally have my friends, have my own things that I do on my own that I enjoy, take a trip by myself without you if it's possible.
And
but how healthy is that?
Decision. Just slow down the decision.
Yeah.
You really feel like, let me move in, but you need to know, what am I moving into? So it doesn't kill the desire, but you really want to know, what am I moving into? Because once you move in, you don't want to move out in 2 days. So when you count the cost of this temporary feeling that you have vis-a-vis the chances of this crushing you, then you say, look, love is not going anywhere. If it is real, I'll still be in love with this person. I can delay the decision so that I am sure we're on the same page. Because sometimes you're the one who's more excited than the other person.
Oh, wow.
I have something to add to what CJ is talking about.
Just that sometimes you're more excited about the other person than the other.
True. It's actually true. What CJ is talking about is that sense of individuation is very important in a relationship. Can you be able to survive without this other person? Have you ever seen the clingy people who are like, they want you here, there, every time? They want a soft life, but they don't want you to work. And you don't have an inheritance.
But hey, let's talk about consistency. If you are always there, and this is how, and again, just to the foundation, if we are always together, how then do you explain to your partner that all of a sudden you're needing to breathe? That, you know, I feel like you're too much. Like, you know, because, I mean, that in itself is a huge red flag.
No, it's
all of a sudden you're busy. All of a sudden, you know, why do you call me all the time? You know, I'm just, like, I'm trying to feed this family.
No, it's not. Lillian, let me tell you, even relationships have burnout.
Yeah.
The same way you are excited about a new place of work and you're excited. I've never imagined myself working for Royal Media Services, and all of a sudden you're here, and then it bogs you down and you feel like, hey, I need to go to HR and ask for a day off. Even relationships have burnout, and some people lose their relationship when they get to the burnout stage without their knowing, because as CJ has said, maybe you are excited, you're still in the excitement stage, but this person has already moved to the working stage. The working stage now is when the foundation must be done. It will cost you a lot of time and money for you to sustain this relationship. And when you are hunting, you're ready to go to the savannah, to the interior.
Yeah.
But immediately you know what you have hunted. You cannot eat raw meat. Now you need time to come and start burning. How are you going to burn if you do not create time to go and look for that charcoal? How are you going to even live with the person you are hunting for if you're not ready to go and look for money to build? So relationships cannot always be at the superficial stage. You have to allow, and even lovers need some time away from each other.
Which is what I was asking, Bobby, why, and this could be the female or the males, some partners detach earlier. I mean, so one person is in that honeymoon stage for like 2-3 years, and the other person after 6 months. They actually say for men it's 6 months.
Yep.
And but for females, as the years go by, you get clingier and clingier, and if the man is not home, you're not sleeping.
Go crazy
until you hear the car hoot. I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah.
So let me bring it back to the attachment styles. So the attachment styles are the template we have for love in our lives. This is how we attach to our partners, and we learn it from our caregivers. Na kuna anxious attachment, disorganized attachment, na avoidant. Avoidant ni wale watu wao wenye unaona uwapendi sana. Wale wenye, you know, they're in it, they chase you, they really look for you, and then when they find you, now they're...
Consistency is a thing for me. I stand to be judged. Consistency is such a thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
Yeah, but you see, when healthy relationships especially, they put a mirror up to you and they force you to grow and change and evolve and do better.
Yeah.
Because when you love someone, even in friendship, even just being friends with CJ, when I see something he might like, I feel, oh my goodness, CJ might like this, because you know how it would make him feel about himself or about the situation.
Yeah.
So how we attach is largely something we learn in our childhood all the way through growing up. And if you do not have a different template to compare to, you think your way is right. So if your dad never talked to you, your mother was never home, now you're with a lover who needs you in the house all the time, they want to text you all the time. Unashanga, hizi ni gani bana? Mi tumeshakatiana nishakupata. Why are we still in this phase where it's like I have to still keep doing the work that I was doing? And sometimes it's very unintentional. Sometimes external factors are forcing you to change. Like now you have to work. You're hunting Kena Mesema. You have to go out and, you know, fend now to take care of the relationship. But you see, if we're not in consistent communication, consistency doesn't just mean action and showing up all the time. Neza kuwa enyewe mi show up, mi kubuy flowers every week. Lakini this week sijaweza kupitia kwa vendor. Does that mean now our relationship is over and that's a red flag?
Call the vendor, tell the vendor. Like, have the vendor just remember, like, on this particular day, send flowers to that house.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
But you see, in I like that Ken said, you know, even in relationships, kuna burnout. Na kuna time una need space. Na kuna time huwezi wajibika to the level that you have been all the time. The thing that I feel should be consistent is the communication. And sometimes even this is lacking because remember, people go through grief, people go through loss, people lose their jobs. People just want to shut up sometimes. These weeks I just want to shut up and stay in my house. Having to explain all the time, hey, I need to shut up this week. Hey, I need to shut up this week. Hey, I need to shut up. And I get it.
Which is what Ken was saying, that when you're in sync, then your person's silence will communicate to you and you'll be able to interpret that as...
No, let me clarify two things. I don't know, Lillian, whether we need to therapize you and ask you, do you look for predictability or consistency?
Good question.
I mean, it's a thin line. So I mean, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't.
Yes.
It is, and you know, people will often argue that that's control as well, where you want your person to align to or to morph to what it is you expect of them. But consistency for me, I would say, in a nutshell, is what Bobby said. It's communication. For me, that communication, as long as it's consistent, I think, you know, a lot of the other untidiness is taken care of. Okay, on to, it's not a therapy session.
It's not a therapy. Let me tell you, having sat in therapy for quite a long while, I've been 22 years now as a psychologist. Most spouses who cheat is because their partners had a predictable schedule. So there is nothing... I advise people as stop being predictable, that on Mondays you get to the house at 5. On Fridays you get to the house at 10. There is nothing as good as when you have a partner who is spontaneous. They don't have to treat you to a dinner because it's your anniversary. They don't have to take you out because it's a weekend. They can be as spontaneous as they can with you, as long as they understand your schedule. This partner who can also come to your place of work and deliver pizza, that you don't see them at the gate and you start getting offended. Why are you coming? Because maybe you have a work husband. You don't want to be seen with that person. Predictability sometimes makes the oomph to go out in a relationship. So, in as much as it's okay for you to continually do what you do, but don't be too consistent and too predictable.
Predictability and love bombing. So love bombing, CJ, where, again, we're going back to the topic, which is why do people get into relationships? And right from the onset, especially the men, the love bombing is... you know, do I lean too much towards the female?
Of course.
Too sour.
So the love bombing, where early days, attention is at its peak, flowers are on rotation, dates are on rotation, and then, again, we're going back to what we were talking about earlier, why you got, I mean, attachment styles and what have you. But then again, now the love bombing vis-a-vis the predictability. So you started off with a certain pattern, and this is what your partner is used to. And then now you expect them down the line to accept that, you know what, I just don't want to be predictable like Ken is saying. I'm not you don't control me, I'm not a cheat, I'll come and I'll come. I mean, that one is dicey, Ken. I don't know if you're sending the right message to these men out here.
We can discuss that later.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that needs to stay consistent apart from communication is the effort. And sometimes you can tell, like what Bobby was saying, so the flowers weren't sent this week, but you can see that this person has not gone lower in their effort. Circumstances have changed, situations are a bit different, and they're still trying to do the same thing, maybe in different ways and maybe with different results. Some things need to stay constant for predictability. Some things are pillars, like respect and just treating each other well. And some of those things need to remain very constant. Then there are certain things like how somebody shows up, whether it will be the conversations and stuff, which is like the background here. It can change based on the show that we're going to have. And it doesn't mean the building has changed. The building is the same, but we're in this setup at this particular point. So somebody's going through a tough financial status at a particular point. the background changes, but the pillars remain the same. I'll be loyal, I'll be faithful, I'll be consistent, I'm with you. So even when you don't hear from me like the whole day, maybe I'm going through something emotionally, but these pillars remain the same.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have the same background, but the pillars are shifting. You can be treated the same way. That's where Ken was bringing up the thing of the predictability. I can treat you the same way, but then the pillars are shifting because I have also analyzed how you were and keep on treating you in that way. But then I'm beginning to treat a lot of other people in the same way.
Right.
For men, in the beginning, the effort is to bring you in. When they have brought you in, some men like Ken, some men like
Yeah, I got the bag.
But once they've brought you in their mind, they think they have moved you to equity.
Right.
Where you are a partner in this thing. So they don't have to work as hard because they feel like whatever they're growing, you are an owner of it. So in their heads, they've moved you from being a salaried employee to being a director.
With equal shares.
And not doing is a box explanation.
So, again, going back to the article in the dailies today on divorce, and we know that in this country, divorce rates are alarmingly high. I'd like us to talk about, okay, first we've talked about why people get into these relationships, but saving the relationship, ultimately, being godly men, I believe that, the sanctity of a relationship should be protected, or at least that's what you prescribe to, I think. I mean, if it's healthy.
Yeah.
But we've learned from you, CJ. But, so Roberta, you talked about people getting into relationships perhaps because of finance, that being a big thing. What happens when this man or this female gets out of that job, or when the tender doesn't pay for months on end? If those were your initial terms of engagement, how do you overlook that very important thing and protect this relationship, if at all it matters to you? If this thing is so huge, people get ill, circumstances change in life. It could be the loss of a job. It could be just a bad season financially. So based on the value you're getting from this person, how do you save that relationship in the midst of that turbulent season?
There's something Ken loves to say here. He says, relationships don't go wrong, they start wrong, which is very, very true. Because if you already don't know what you're getting into this relationship for, when things start changing, as they always do, you start to get confused. You start wondering, this guy now is telling me he's lost his job and I'm here for the money. So first, let me start by saying, if your needs are not being met and you've communicated and it's not working, I'm a big believer of kujitoa. It's fine for you to say, I came for the money, you have no money, peace, I'm out. But in relationships where you're actually caring about the person, where it's more about love, companionship, I think it's important to just be a decent human being. And I want to add on to what CJ was talking about. See, when you're getting into a relationship, things are going to be changing all the time. It's like a wheel, a rolling stone. So you have to allow space for a lot of grace and forgiveness. Maybe Ken and CJ will tell us how many times they've had to forgive their partners. It's a million times over. You do it every day, even when you don't have the strength to, even when you don't want to, because you're just a decent human being. And it's so important because, like you're talking about, the consistency shifting. Instead of getting mad, and this one, let me talk to the ladies. Instead of getting mad, why didn't you send the flowers? Why didn't you call the vendor? Why weren't they delivered? Are you able to take a step back and come from a place of grace and wonder, is CJ okay? Is he actually fine wherever he is? Is his money low? Did he forget? Is he going through something in his life? You need to come from a space of, I want to hear you. I want to love you. I care about you. And we're saying this all the time again. We do all this in friendship. Even if today, let's say, I promised I'd show up and then I didn't show up without communicating. I don't think you guys will send me horrible messages, angry, shouting and fighting me. You'll be concerned. Are you fine? Is anything wrong? Ulikosa fuel? Umeshindwa kuamka leo? What is it that happened? But when it comes to our romantic partners, we're ready to fight. We're ready to be angry. And this is all within reasonable doubt. This is within a situation where it's not abusive. You know this person actually cares about you. I like to urge people to take a step back and also ask yourself, I don't like this statement, but what am I bringing to the table?
Yeah.
What unaleta nini kwa hii relationship yenye itafanya pia mimi ni feel inspired kuendelea to keep the tempo going. There's something also CJ has ever said here, and that people didn't take it.
I can see a viewer who's also saying the same thing I'm saying, myself. Yeah. I'm bringing myself. Yeah.
CJ usema hiki tu. At first, I used to kind of fight him on it, but it's the truth. You see the love bombing when when the relationship is fresh. He's buying you flowers, he's taking you on trips, he's doing all these things for you. Even as women, we come into the relationship and we kind of settle. Yeah. We get comfortable. Now you stop looking hot. You stop taking time to dress up. Sasa hizo matisha zako za sengenge ni ngombe na dira. Hizo ndo zinabamba. You know, you just want to relax and stay home. Then you're wondering why his energy is changing. Yeah. It's give and take. I'm not saying your only job as a woman in a relationship is to be hot and that's why you'll be treated well. No. I'm saying while you're noticing things changing on the other side, also hold accountable and wonder, what is it that is changing in my life? Because maybe he was attracted to you being a career woman, you know, a strong woman who goes out there and gets stuff done. Now you're just sitting in the house, sleeping all the time. Yeah. The attraction is shifting. And most times men are not even allowed, akisitete men, napiga tu story. Most times men are not even allowed the space to be able to say, hey, Roberta, you know, you don't dress sexy anymore. We'll start. He's judging me. Yeah. He's talking about my body.
My weight, yeah.
But ni normal. Vitu change. Vile, hii side ingine inaweza kwa go through vitu. Pia wewe side ingine unaweza go through vitu. Right. So that's why it's consistently important to check in. Talk to each other. Figure out what is happening. Even EO flowers, that's such a basic... it's like, even us, maybe I love to cook, and this week I just don't feel like cooking. I don't expect my partner to come home angry. I expect, if anything, I would love for him to come with a solution. You know, let's go out to eat, or let's do something different. We're consistently changing. It's just, you need to know yourself so well so that as you're checking in with yourself, you're able to communicate with your partner like, hey, I really want to buy you the flowers, but honestly, I feel like I've been buying flowers. To me, it's not giving the same meaning. So how about I buy you diamonds now? Right. Then you're like, I love that.
Upgrade.
Yes. Yeah. That's friends for life if you continue that way. So, Ken, we're starting to wind up. So we talked about finances, you know, and how that could ultimately affect a relationship. What about past experiences? Say you got into this relationship and you were cheated on in the previous one. So infidelity is a complete no-no for you. And you're getting into this relationship hoping that, you know, this will work better. The room for forgiveness after an obvious cheating session, be it random or prolonged, whatever, cheating is cheating. The room for forgiveness in all of that. Can people recover from infidelity that's actually proven?
Yes, you can. And there's forgive, forget is what people look at and they think you're forgiving the other person. But for me, I like looking at forgive, forget, like it's inward. It's by giving that I get. So I give up the sense that I allowed my partner. You know, it is so hard for you to also take responsibility that your partner might have cheated because of you. Your unavailability, how you're treating that person, that you allowed yourself to lack attention to your partner, and they went and found attention somewhere else. You know, it takes a lot of maturity for you to get to that level. So you give up that baggage that you're carrying and you get the grace. Some marriages survive by graces. Roberta here was talking about how many times we have forgiven. Yeah. I like saying also been forgiven. I can assure you that I have been forgiven enough times. And that's why I look at her every morning, Shiro, and I say, guy, I don't think there's anyone else who can withstand me. If my own mother sometimes says I'm difficult, my own mother tells me, if my mother can go that direction, you can imagine what about my wife. But there's also something else. Let's also learn that it takes a lot of hard work for a relationship to thrive. Especially right now where we are going to social media and we are allowing ourselves to go to social media and looking at what other people are doing and you're comparing. Stop comparing. You decided this one. Can you stick with the one that you decided?
Right.
Work on the person that you currently have. The grass is not always greener on the other side. It might be artificial. So take a lot of time and do what you can within what is within your proximity. Don't promise Maldives. I mean, if you cannot afford it, don't promise the world to your partner. Where are the rest of us going to survive? Do what you can. And just know happiness is innate when you're in the bedroom as opposed to the sitting room. Because in the sitting room, there are so many other people. Your children are there, your DM is there, your relatives are coming and your neighbors. But in that, and I'm not talking about the bedroom aspect, I'm talking about the two of you can find what is happy for two of you. And let people be. They will discuss when you showcase your love. They will discuss when you do not showcase your love. If your partner loves PDA, by all means, learn PDA. If your partner loves to be given their space, by all means, give them their space. But don't go and change the person whom you first met. Let the person that you met be consistent with their personality. You know what you need to do is when you try to change somebody's personality, it is going to be tough work. Are you ready for the tough work? I don't think so.
Yeah, and before we start winding up, something that Ken touched on, CJ, on social media. Given today's world, you know, online dating, social media, and how people are entering into relationships nowadays, people don't even, I don't need to ask for your number. I just need to go to social media and DM you and say, hey, what's up? I think you look nice. So how people are getting into these relationships and genuine connections, just this being, of course, now a platform where people are actually meeting and interacting, I mean, across borders, you know, across countries, and dating, like literally on these online sites. Let's talk a little bit about that. Is there a genuine connection there? Can something real grow out of that?
Yes, but it will take work offline for it to become genuine and to be built. So it's okay to meet online. You can meet anywhere. Then you've got to actually do the work offline. Unless you are going to eternally remain remote lovers. But if you really want that relationship to work, you've got to move it past that. When we go online, we put the best of us over there. We've got a very manic perception out there for the people, for the public. They never really get to know certain things around us and about us. We don't, well, some people do, but we don't mostly share our insecurities and our fears. We may deflect, but we don't openly come and talk about those. The intimacy is not really shared out there. You could be having a very bad day and still post the best of your pictures for the people who are there. So they really don't know you. They will feel like this person is always happy and very energetic. And that's what you show them. But if I'm going to relate with you, I need to know you at your lowest. You when you're grumpy, you when you're upset, you when you're demanding the consistency, and how you act when the consistency is not showing up, when you are not very structured and all that. And this is where now people begin to get disappointed because they got attracted to the person they see online, the publicity stunts that we put up over there. And then they come in and meet a very different person and they're like, I didn't sign up for this. But you don't live on the screens, for example. You've got to go back home. Sometimes people who are around the public a lot, I know like myself, you go back home and you just want to be in a quiet place. You don't want too much noise. You don't want too much. And somebody will think when they meet you out there, they think you are the always talkative Bobby. So they expect the same energy in their relationship. And when you go back, you want to be in a safe place where you can stay the whole day without saying anything and the person understands.
Even with your singing a t-shirt.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Because now, this is an intimate place where you want to have safety. So yes, you can build something authentic, but the truth is, you will have to build. You will always have to build. You'll put in the work. You'll be required to do that.
Parting remarks, just coming from you and ending with Ken, a mindset shift that will help all of us get into healthier relationships, healthier, meaningful relationships that actually run the course. Right. And just going back to the alarming divorce rates in this country, or people just moving on, getting into new relationships, you know, even before healing. Mindset shifts that will take us to a healthier relationship way.
I think that we need to begin to really embrace open communication. Open, honest communication. The question that you asked, Ken, about even people going into, having either a side chick or a side man or stuff, some of those things happen because somebody is being introduced to a new version of themselves. You met them at 25. They were completely broke and bastard. I mean, they didn't even have options. No confidence, trauma and stuff. They've been built up. They're now 35. They've grown in confidence in a lot of things. The things that used to keep them in check, like the low esteem and confidence, is gone. He's meeting different people who are telling them, you're a great guy. He wants to exercise this, probably, because he's responding to an attention. It's like a child growing and then beginning to realize the remote can change the channels. So now they want to play with this. So this person is at a certain stage in their life, for example, they have never been validated their whole life. Then they find the first person like, Bobby actually said I look good. My goodness, Bobby actually said I look good. That thing gets into their head. If we had honest and open communication and conversations, we should be able to talk about these things as couples without somebody breaking the table because you say, this is where I am at right now. I'm beginning to feel like my heart is a bit shaky. Yes, Lillian. It should
so I'm not good enough for you.
So that kind of defensiveness is what we need to let go.
Yeah, okay.
Because if your partner has trusted you enough to tell you that, man, there's a way when I go to the show, Bobby makes me feel, they're seeking your support.
Yes. Right.
They could have been quiet and gone on with it, but they are dealing with a version of themselves they have never known, a certain change. And when they tell you this, then it is important for you now to begin working with them. If we get relationships to the point where I can come and say, look, I think if I sit with this person alone, I might mess up. And then you don't go and fight the person because this is just stimulus and response. You're getting to know where this person is at that particular point. And then you start talking about it and say, what does that make you feel? What do you think is the need that this person is meeting? What is it that is directing you towards that space so that we can handle it? Open and honest communication.
We're out of time, according to Lindsay. Please, Roberta and Ken, your parting remarks on the same.
When you love yourself, you become more attractive and you heal. So make it a priority. This is the best way for you to show up in relationships.
Oh.
Right.
Okay. For me, I would say this. Don't allow your relationship to get to the sad state. And sad here is severe appreciation deficiency. Appreciate as much as you can. When you realize it's going down, just to replenish it.
Great, I love that. Ken Munywa, psychologist, Roberta Bobby, relationship coach, and CJ Atemo, life coach, unpacking for us what exactly it means or what makes people get into relationships. I trust you've been well informed. My name is Lillian Mwili. Have a great day.